What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30 and Still Gaming, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about Bethesda director defends Starfield and says it's right next to Fallout and Elder Scrolls. We're also going to talk about Xbox made the right call, skipping the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 Pro competitor. We're also going to talk about Ubisoft maybe circling the drain as Chinese mega publisher is reportedly considering purchasing the Assassin's Creed maker. And then we're going to watch the Halo, the new Dawn, Halo Studios, a brand new studio, which is the same studio, which is a new studio, making Halo in the Unreal Engine. We'll talk about that as well on today's show. If you like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do podcasts, uploads, shorts. We also do gameplay in the evenings. This week's going to be a little different. There is a hurricane coming towards us, so I don't know if we're going to be doing night streams or day streams, all depending. Right now, it's pushed to Wednesday, so it looks like tomorrow morning I'll be able to do a show as well. So today, all day, morning show, evening show, tomorrow morning, Tuesday, up in the air right now, and then Wednesday right now is up in the air, and we'll know more as the storm gets closer or whatnot. How's everyone doing? What's going on, chat? What's going on, Eclipse of Travis, Jesse Mack, Chris, Behemoth, Noob Tech Guy, what's going on? Eclipse, Dolphin, Roadkill, what's going on, man? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Let me see what you guys are arguing over Halo. Good. I can see a PlayStation fan when I see one, and an Xbox fan when I see one. Well, I guess we'll talk again. I don't look at the stories and stuff. I haven't seen anything. I saw the pictures of the Halo studios and whatnot, but I have not watched the video. So this weekend I saw Transformers 1. I actually liked it a lot. My only discrepancy with it was the pacing. The pacing was a little off. But Transformers 1 took my son. He liked it. He liked it a lot. Couple of the characters, I wish there was more. I wanted more of it, but I also wanted it to they sped up a couple of the storylines like real fast. Like they changed just like that. And I was like, ugh. I wish the movie was like about 20 minutes more and take out a little bit of stuff that they could have done without. Nothing bad, by the way. Nothing like DEI or anything like that. It was just more of they went down this route of a story, and I was just like, why do you need this? You don't need this part. So overall, though, movie was great. Loved it. Looking forward to the next one. If it's called Transformers 2, I have no idea, but definitely got me excited. Yeah, so Transformers 1's nice. What do we do this weekend? Did a lot of prepping for the hurricane. That's what I did. Still got more to do. Yeah. No, it's a good watch. The trailer, Chris, did no justice for what the movie actually is. Right? Did no justice. They made it look like some sort of Pixar, DreamWorks type of film. And it's, well, obviously, the person who directed this directed, I think, How to Train a Dragon. And they made the trailer more like that. But the actual movie itself, it's got some dark parts to it. But because it's, I think it's PG, is it PG-13? I don't even know. But they showed like brutal murders of robots, but they would cut it right before it happened. So it'd be like a Hitchcock type of thing, right? You know, like the murder scene that happened in the bathtub and you see the blood go down the drain type of thing. Like you would see a guy take a sword to a guy's head and then all of a sudden they would cut it right before, but then obviously you know what's happening. But they did show some stuff like robots being torn apart, Uh, it was. I was just like, whoa. I was like, all right, I wasn't expecting that. So it's actually really good. It's actually really good. My son audibly, when something happened during the thing, he was like, whoa. I was like, that's he likes it. He likes it. He was excited about it, and he didn't want to go see it. He didn't want to go see it because of the trailer. He's like, it doesn't look good. But Dad took him. I said, we're watching this. What's going on, Altern? How about the Sparking Zero gonna outsell Black Myth? Travis, you understand that Dragon Ball Z is one of the most popular IPs on planet Earth, right? I would say if it doesn't, it would be, and I'm not saying it will, but if it doesn't sell more than Black Myth Wukong, that's a problem. Considering Black Myth Wukong, I don't know why you would compare the two, is a brand new IP. Okay, and Dragon Ball Z has been around for 25 years, maybe more. Like, your comparison right there is asinine, because it's like, I wonder if this IP that everyone loves is gonna beat this game that nobody knew about, and it's not even out yet on Xbox. So, for your sake, I hope Dragon Ball Z does sell more than Black Myth Wukong. Because if it doesn't, that would be pretty laughable. And Black Myth Wukong could be like, we sold more than them and we didn't even have a third platform. And then, obviously, saying that a game sold out, you don't know the numbers. And two, that it's number one in pre-orders, you don't know the numbers. It just means it's number one compared to all the other games that are being pre-ordered. Yeah, Noob Tech, I would hope, right? It should. It's Dragon Ball, right? Right. Black Myth Wukong, Dragon Ball. If my grandmother was still alive and I talked about Dragon Ball, she'd be like, is that cartoon thing? She would know. If I told her about Black Myth Wukong, she'd be like, what is that? By those standards, COD should outsell Dragon Ball. What was the last Dragon Ball game that came out, Travis? What was the last Dragon Ball game that came out? What was it? A couple years ago, right? Chat, what was the last Dragon Ball game that came out? Fighter Z? Okay, according to this, it revealed that the game surpassed sales of 5 million copies by December of 2020. The game had sold over 6 million copies worldwide in November of 2021, and the game surpassed 8 million copies sold worldwide as of May of 2023. The game has sold 10 million copies total. 10 million copies total. Call of Duty has done 3 times that. 3 times that just last year. Is there anything else you would like me to prove you wrong about, Travis, this morning? I mean, it's early. It's early. Dragon Ball is not bigger than COD. Sorry, it's just not. Yeah, I agree that. I said that COD is bigger than Dragon Ball, but you're the one that said Dragon Ball will outsell. I would say I would hope so. It's Black Myth Wukong. It's a brand new IP. Then you move the goalpost. You moved the goalpost, and then you went to COD. Right? Let's go to toy sales. Are we talking about Dragon Ball Z toy sales? Because that's more than COD. Are we talking about television shows? That's more than COD. Dragon Ball Z is one of the most popular IPs on the planet as far as an IP. Dolphin says Sparking Zero will sell way more. Way more than what? Way more than the last Dragon Ball game that came out? Way more than Black Myth Wukong? Waterbird says, what's Dragon Ball? And this is coming from a person that has never done anything with Dragon Ball. I'm not a Dragon Ball guy. Because Dragon Ball came out when I was in high school. Morning, Z. I mean, Chris, why not? Why not? You know, they're like, hey, last time we released one, we couldn't sell microtransactions as much. Let's try again. I don't even know if this one has microtransactions. I'm just saying stuff. Altern says, my only issue with those games are that they're fighting only. Like a Mortal Kombat, but turned into 11. And I don't like those type of games. Yeah, I'm not a big fighting game. Now, I do think we talked about Sparking Zero a couple weeks ago when they showed it. And I was like, well, that's cool. If you're a Dragon Ball fan and you get to fight all your characters within the worlds of Dragon Ball, seems like a no-brainer to me. How many characters they have? They have a ridiculous amount of characters too. El Dente says Sparking Zero might sell more than Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, but not COD. Yeah, I don't know where he was going with that. El Dente. Travis just likes to. He came in this morning. He was just like, I'm gonna just type a bunch of shit in chat this morning. Try to get in as many fights as possible. All right, let's start the first story. Let's start the first story. Ubisoft may be circling the drain, and Chinese mega publisher is reportedly considering purchasing the Assassin's Creed maker. You guys like what I do here? We cover news stories Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. I just read the stories, give you my thoughts and opinions, and then we have a conversation about it. So Ubisoft is the founding family of Chinese tech powerhouse Tencent may be teaming up to acquire Ubisoft. Okay, so there could be another acquisition shaking the gaming industry soon. A new report says that Bloomberg incident, Chinese tech conglomerate Tencent is considering teaming up with the Guillemot. I always like saying that, the Guillemot family, and buying Ubisoft and developer and publisher and franchise like Assassin's Creed and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. And the move reportedly includes a possibility that the company would be taken private following the acquisition. Now, this news comes that Ubisoft faces increasing financial challenges in recent years. Massive Entertainment Star Wars Outlaws received softer sales than the company expected, while upcoming action adventure Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed from November 2024 to February of 2025. Meanwhile, a number of Ubisoft games have been repeatedly pushed back years past and expected launch dates, and Ubisoft shareholders' prices have fallen to the lowest point in a decade. While Tencent acquired the stake of Gamont's family holdings in 2023, with over 19,000 employees and dozens of a development studio around the world, Ubisoft is one of the largest gaming publishers in the world, and Ubisoft currently holds the cloud gaming rights for Activision Blizzard titles. After Microsoft sold the rights in order to appease the CMA, the regulatory authority of the UK, and then finalized the acquisition in Activision's Blizzard King in October 2023. Now, the Gamont family founded Ubisoft back in 1986, which is the company rising through the following the series' strategy move, such as acquiring Red Storm Entertainment, a studio in North Carolina funded by the author of Tom Clancy. The growth continued to be launched of the games like Assassin's Creed, a title that began in the life of Prince of Persia game, and also went on to spawn Ubisoft's biggest and most successful franchise. The prior mainline game in the series is Viking RPG Assassin's Creed Valhalla vastly exceeds expectations, reaching over 20 million copies, or players, I should say. 20 million players, and over $1 billion in revenue in 2020. Assassin's Creed Shadows is currently slated to launch on February 14th across the Xbox Series X, S, Windows PC, PlayStation 5, Mac, and Amazon Luna. Right? So, let's see. Everyone's looking at this going, well, Ubisoft needs to get bought out by someone. And we talked about this, I think, about 2 weeks ago. I said Tencent could buy them. I said Amazon could buy them. Microsoft could buy them. Obviously, whoever buys them, whoever gets it, is going to get the underneath the microscope, right? Tencent owns a lot of companies, man. They own a lot of companies, stakes in companies, I should say. They don't own them outright, okay? There's no difference in what Tencent's doing than what Microsoft is doing, okay? And this goes back to a statement that Phil Spencer said. He didn't say Tencent. He was saying that we're not in competition anymore with Sony or Nintendo, but they're in competition with Amazon and Google is what I believe they talked about. But Tencent is in that conversation, right? Because it's all about IPs and the way they're getting their games out, okay? And people with money can just buy a company and boom, they're the competitors all of a sudden to other big conglomerate companies. So when Microsoft says that they're not in competition with Sony or Nintendo, it's not that they're not big enough. Like, they're not big. They are big. They're huge. But the people that Microsoft is worried about is the other people in all other divisions, not just the gaming division, but just other companies in general. Amazon, Google, Tencent. And when Tencent owns, I think they own 40%, if I'm not mistaken, of Epic Games. Okay, and Epic is doing what they're doing in the industry with Unreal Engine. I mean, hell, we're gonna have another story right here. Halo is going to be switching over to Unreal Engine, which is owned by Epic, which is owned by Tencent, which is, you see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff going on in the backgrounds here that they're using stuff, and this is why I'm a little surprised that Microsoft is switching to the Unreal Engine, especially in this form of, if Tencent owns Ubisoft as the bigger portion, I don't know what happens to the streaming rights. I don't know if it goes back to Microsoft and they have to sell it to somebody else, or does Tencent and Ubisoft keep it if Tencent is the majority stakeholder now and not the Gamont family, okay? So that'll be a whole nother thing that happens. We don't know what the wording was in the contract that they signed, so it's all hearsay right now. But if Microsoft makes Halo and Halo becomes a huge success, right? Well, then Unreal, Epic, and Tencent make money off of Microsoft because of each of the things. And that's why I'm surprised that they're actually making their Unreal Engine to that. But so big change is happening. This is going to happen. Ubisoft is going to get purchased by somebody. If it is Tencent, which they're showing the most interest, or if it's another company down the line, it could be an Apple, it could be an Amazon, it could be a Google, it could be a Netflix, right? Or it could be Tencent. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's good or bad that Tencent picks it up? Do you think that obviously no matter who picks up Ubisoft, they're going to gut it out, sell off IPs perhaps? Or do you think if Tencent takes it, they're just going to leave it as is and keep pumping out the stuff they're pumping? Or do you think that they're going to change up the whole landscape? There's 19,000 employees at Ubisoft right now. So What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. These are just my thoughts. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. I think it's very, like, this is happening so fast with Ubisoft, right? Happening so fast. It's almost like this hurricane, right? It's like the hurricane just picks up speed real fast, right? I feel like that's what Ubisoft is right now. Ubisoft is that storm that all of a sudden you're like, nothing's happening. They're fine. They got Skull and Bones. They got Prince of Persia. Star Wars was going to come out and it was going to be great, but it just escalated faster and faster for Ubisoft. And the momentum this year, 2024, has got to be probably one of the worst years for them. Starting with Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora last year. Then Prince of Persia didn't sell very well. Very good game. People really liked it. Didn't sell very well. Skull and Bones came out. $400 million or more for how long that game was in process, right? Or in production. First quadruple A game. Also the first quadruple A game to do nothing. Okay. They're still supporting it. Star Wars came out. Massive problems with that. Didn't sell very well. And now we got delayed for Assassin's Creed Shadows. So Ubisoft all of a sudden went from having great IPs, doing so much stuff, to 1 year later, here we are. And they're like being sold off to the highest bidder. Right? Which is just crazy. Or Alien follow. Alien says major layoffs are going to happen. Tencent is going to monetize every Ubisoft game they can, and it can't be good for gamers. Yeah, well, it's never good when we have less competition, right? And this is just another company that Tencent picks up. I mean, there could be a time down the line where Tencent literally becomes the majority stakeholder in Epic, right? Tencent's smart, man. They'll take 10% here, 12% there, 15% here, 40% there. They own a lot. Let me look up what Tencent owns. Okay. Oh, we have a picture? Virtual worlds of spatial software going... no, this is not it. Hold on one second. This is not it. This is not stuff they own. Okay, let me see. Tencent. This is not all their companies that they own. You go back to... It's founded in 1998. They own Riot Games, Tencent Music, has over 600 investments, including 40% in Epic Games, 4% in Tesla. Yeah, here's a couple things that... So they own WeChat, QQ, Tencent Games, Ubisoft Entertainment, right? Tencent Music Entertainment Group. They own Epic Games, okay? They own Sea Limited, or this is stuff they have bits in, right? WeBank, U Holdings, Neo, Snap. Tencent's strategy would also be surprising the company continue to invest in game companies. Possibility to buy Dungeons and Dragons from Hasbro. Right, so they're in talks of doing that, and that's also not everything. They got their hands in lots of different things. I personally wouldn't want Tencent, but I also don't want Microsoft to own it. I would prefer somebody else that's not in the field already with tons and tons of IPs underneath their belt to not go to one of them if it has to get sold off. Ron, that's negative 100 points for you for the terrible joke. Terrible joke. Waterbear says they're going to keep all the IPs and bring in the new people who will take those games and boost sales. You think they're going to keep every single IP? Travis says he hopes they gut it. Why would you want them to gut it? Jack says Ubisoft's not the storm. The poor decisions are the storm. I mean, sure, but Ubisoft is still the storm that it increased. Like, it's just out there, and then all of a sudden now it's just getting destroyed super fast. Like, it escalated really fast from having, like, think about it. A year and a half ago, Jag, they were like, oh yeah, we have all the stuff we're making games. We got the Assassin's Creed series. We got big franchises coming. We're doing the Avatar thing. We're doing the Star Wars thing. We got another Assassin's Creed game. We got a bunch of Assassin's Creed games coming. We got what's the X Defiant, right? You got X Defiant. You got Prince of Persia. Like a year and a half ago, they're like, oh yeah, we're good. We're all set up. We're good to go. And then all of a sudden, here we are a year and a half later, and they're like, we're selling our company. Like, what? What happened? What happened? Obviously, it's the poor decisions, but going back a year and a half ago, there's no way you can look at the IPs they had and the games they were coming out with to go, oh yeah, there's no way they're going to get sold off in a year and a half. If I told you a year and a half ago that Ubisoft is going to sell Ubisoft, you would have been like, there's no way. There's no way. Right? Hindsight's 2020 now. Gene says, not had started with Far Cry and Watch Dogs being absolute crap. I felt soulless. Then they leaked in the Assassin's Creed. Then said happened 30. Sure, but it's just like, again, what I just said. Like, if you go back a year and a half ago, you're like, there's no way that they're selling off their company, right? Oh, I don't think it's coming out in February, Travis. I think it's gonna get delayed again. I said that when they delayed it the first time. I was like, I don't even think it's coming out in February. Morning, Haley. Ron says the Assassin's Creed PUBG style battle royale with lots of stabbing sounds interesting. All right, I'll give you 90 points back, Ron. I'll give you 90 points back. Could you imagine just a battle royale? Everyone just got two knives, just the two daggers out of their wrist. They're running around just stabbing each other. God, that would be terrible. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Tencent, man, and taking them over. Here's the thing, though. Does that fix... Will Tencent fix what Ubisoft's doing? Or does Ubisoft just keep doing the exact same thing they're doing now, which is making bad products? They're making bad products. Regardless if it's the DEI, SBI stuff that people are pushing, or as if it's just a bad product, right? For instance, the Joker movie this weekend, absolute garbage, right? Absolute garbage. Okay. Now, the Joker movie is not woke in any way, shape, or form. It's just a bad product. It's a bad product, right? Yeah, it only made 40 million in opening weekend domestically, 120 worldwide. It's going to struggle after this because, yeah, it went from 20 million to 11 million to 8 million. So next weekend, the highest part of the weekend might be 10 million. It's not getting good reviews. That's because it's a bad movie, right? Bad products equal bad money. Okay. Now, regardless, Ubisoft has been just making bad stuff, right? Pandora didn't have any woke ideology inside of it, right? It was just Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Just, it felt lifeless to a lot of people. A lot of people played it. I didn't play it myself. Just saying off what people said. They played it. Majority of people said it was just big to be big. It didn't feel. It felt like it needed more time. Prince of Persia, people that played it said it's fantastic, but I don't think the side scroller really like sold a lot of people. I think that's what hurt it. Okay. So that's another thing that hurt them. Okay. Then X Defiant comes out. You know, it's an incomplete game. Has netcode issues and everything else. They're still fixing it. Okay. Then you got Skull and Bones. It was worked on for like 12 years. Didn't know what to do. Switched it 4 times. Finally came out, and it still feels like a half-ass attempt to what they originally wanted to do with the game. Okay. Star Wars came out. Half-ass attempt. Massive bugs and problems and glitches. Okay. So regardless if Tencent picks them up or not, Ubisoft, right? Are they going to make better products? Are they going to finish out the games? Are they going to make the product better? They did say last week that they're going to go back to making games for players. But talk is cheap, right? Talk is cheap. Go on, Chief. Waterbear says, Sparking Zero appears to be around 85 to 90 review score so far. That's good. I have no interest in the Dragon Ball game, personally, Water. I've never played, never watched the show. We've talked about this. Never watched the show. Never watched the movies. Never read the books, comic books. Never read anything. I have no interest in Dragon Ball Z. Just as a fighting game, though, it looks awesome. Especially if you look like it. Like I said, like Hogwarts is that for Harry Potter. That game looks like for Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? All right, let's go to the next couple stories are all Microsoft-esque type of stuff. Next story is Xbox made the right call skipping the PlayStation 5 Pro competitor. Okay, you guys like what I do here? We do this Monday through Thursday. We just talk about news stories, conversations, give you my thoughts and opinions, then have a conversation with you guys in chat. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. So Xbox made the right call, skipping the PlayStation 5 Pro competitor, IGN says. Okay. It says this is the first series in guest columns from the pure Xbox loyal community dedicated to all things Team Green. So there you go. All right. So the PlayStation 5 Pro, with the jaw-dropping price tag, is now a known quantity after months of rumors and speculations. But while they get the thinking behind the mid-gen upgrades, console cycles are lengthy, especially compared to other tech. The PlayStation 5 Pro is really a tough sell, even though the most passionate fan. This is why I firmly believe that Microsoft has made the right call not to bother with its own PlayStation 5 Pro competitor. The last time we had a mid-gen system in the PlayStation 4 Pro, Xbox One X, 4K TVs were becoming much more commonplace in the upgrade and supported in the tech made total sense. Additionally, Microsoft also had a weak console launch in 2013 and Xbox One. So there's also an opportunity to flip the narrative of pushing an upgrade. Okay, this is exactly what happens because Xbox One X was a fantastic system and arguably one of the one to go for compared to the PlayStation 4 Pro because it provided a bigger leap from the base Xbox One and was ultimately more powerful than the Sony's offering. Now, the Xbox One certainly made the back half of the last gen a much better place to be an Xbox fan and a follower of the industry. Okay, said fast forward to 2024, and the world and the games industry is a different place. The inflation has run rampant in recent years, and which also meant the prices of goods aren't coming down in the same way they did years before. Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are still, broadly speaking, at launch date price levels. Heck, the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller actually costs more now than it did at launch, and the hardware to maintain those prices after 4 years are on the market would also previously been unheard of. Okay, and that's another major issue, right? The last time there was a recession happening and Sony went high with their price was during the PlayStation 3. Okay, this is now, like, technically we're not in a recession, but it all depends on who you ask. Okay, now they came up with the $700 price tag for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Is it going to be worth that price? You know, it's each your own. You know, if you have the money, you want to get it, by all means, go ahead. So enter the PlayStation 5 Pro. Despite the immensely challenging times we live in, Sony has also decided to mid-gen upgrade still worth pursuing. The problem for many is the $700 price tag attached to the upgrade. Plus, it also still feels like the generation is only just kicking into their gear, an existing hardware lineup, let alone something new. With the potential of Xbox Series X and S in full tap into over the next few years, he says, I generally believe that Microsoft doesn't need another console in this lineup. Okay, so Sony is struggling to make a compelling case for the PlayStation 5 Pro. At least that's what it looks like on the Xbox side of the fence. The PISR, the PSSR, is a bespoke of AI upscaling solution with no doubt have a major effect on the platform in the future. But it also still feels like it's a distantly PlayStation 6 feature at that stage, early previews. And the impressions from the tech outlets such as Digital Foundry are positive about the PISR about right now, is struggling also to see why the $700 price tag to be going. Admittedly, it's looking to be benefits to improve hardware on the YouTube and also natively on the PlayStation 5 Pro, but it's also the case of majority of the folks interested in buying these things. Okay, so right now, we're only just getting the territory where actual current-gen games are a thing. 2023 really wasn't the year where both Microsoft and Sony stopped putting out games for the respective last-gen systems, and the third-party developers are slowly following suit now. Xbox clearly believes that there's also still room to impress the Xbox Series X and S, and I'm also inclined to agree. Now developers are also able to focus on efforts rather than worry about the cross-gen performances. Okay. He continued by saying, I had to struggle, though. The barren spell to start the generation, along with the rest of Team Green's followers, but the least they do to a bruiser few years, okay, of Xbox Series X and S by 2025 should be a killer year for Xbox and for the options. Or in my opinion, it doesn't also need pricey hardware to upgrade to achieve that. Phil Spencer himself believes it as well. Okay, so Xbox was made the right call to skip this mid-gen console generation, and it's also in the way of PlayStation 4 Pro existing might actually benefit the next Xbox, as well as third-party developers who will no doubt be testing out the water systems, testing out some of the systems working in the progress future before becoming the real fixture of the next-gen consoles. For the time being, though, I'm happy to save my $700 and wait for a couple of years of Microsoft, a huge leap of the next-gen system, and I'm also fine with sticking in compromised performance mode on the Xbox Series X in the meantime. So where do you guys stand? Are you a person that actually right now has a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One X, okay, and you haven't upgraded to the Xbox Series X or S yet, or the PlayStation 5 originally? Are you still one of those people that are still on the old systems? Let me know in the comment section down below. And why haven't you gone on to the next system yet? Okay, let me know in the chat as well. I know live chat, you guys are mostly on the current gen system, right? But why haven't people moved from Xbox, regardless of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox and the Pro and whatever else that's happening right now? Why haven't 67 million people moved from PlayStation 4? Why haven't 20 million people moved from Xbox Series 1? Okay, what are they waiting for? I'm assuming they're waiting for games. I'm assuming they're waiting for, one, maybe the price to drop, two, games that are actually coming out, because regardless of what system you like, this console generation has been pretty weak compared to other past generations with games releasing, okay, in the scale they're releasing. One, there's a couple problems with this. One, there was a pandemic that shut down the whole planet for a couple of years and delayed everything. So there was time frames where we weren't getting a lot of stuff because they were still delayed or working on it. But here we are 4 years into the cycle. A lot of those games released last year, or they're going to be releasing this year or the following year. because of wherever they were in the cycle of making their games. They were the beginning, the middle, or the end. Okay, from 2 years ago or 4 years ago. Okay, but 2 years ago when it ended and everyone was started going back to work. Okay, so is there going to be pushing the envelope for what Xbox is trying to do with the cloud? Or are they pushing the envelope with the PlayStation 5 Pro, getting that just a little bit more out of the system? I personally think that Microsoft screwed up big time by releasing the Series S and the X at the exact same time. They said that Digital Foundry, Phil Spencer, they said they weren't going to do a mid-gen console, and they actually said that the X was the mid-gen console, but they put it out in the beginning, which I think is a risk, okay? Obviously, they're losing in the console market, but they're also doing better with their cloud market and also with the Game Pass market and also with the PC. So they're making more money with less consoles out there, which is very surprising, right? And then Sony is going with the PlayStation. The PlayStation console is sticking strong with the VR headsets, with the portals, okay? And now with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Is there going to be enough, though, to get the majority of the population for Microsoft and for Xbox? Both majority of the people are still over on the last gen. What can they do to get them over to this gen consoles? What are they going to do? I don't think the $700 price tag is going to get people over here for PlayStation, right? And I don't think the lackluster games that have been coming out for Xbox are going to make them jump ship from Xbox One over here, okay? So they got to start doing something to try to get these people over from the old systems. And even the third-party companies, EA saw it and said, well, wait a minute, they're still not coming over. So we got to make Star Wars Survivor, and we got to put it on the old system because we need to make more money off of this. And they're not jumping over to the next system. So what do? Right? What does PlayStation do? What does Microsoft do to get these people from the last gen? These are questions that I don't have answers for you. I think you got to start making games, right? You got to start making better games. And I'm not talking about the high end where like graphics are like the one all be all. I'm talking about there's plenty of franchises they haven't touched, both Sony and Xbox, that they could bring over and start making games. And not just games, like games that are finished. Make a game, sell a game that's not broke, buggy, and unfinished, right? Diablo expansion's coming out this week. Okay, today? Is it today or this week? Is it early access? I forget. Okay. That game came out over a year and a half ago. Okay, over a year and a half ago. And now everyone's like, oh, it's amazing. The DLC, right? It's a year and a half later to get the game back to where it should have been at launch. Okay, and this is just yet another example of all the other games that come out and they're broken, buggy, unfinished, and they fix them a year, 18 months, 24 months later to get it. And I think that's what a lot of people, you want to call them people that are broke or people that are smart or people that are whatever, they're over on the other systems going, yeah, I'm not going to buy that stuff. I see too many stuff over there that's being broken, buggy when it comes out on all systems. So they're like, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait over on our old system and see what happens and plans out. Because obviously, the last 4 years of God of War, Horizon, Last of Us, all of these games that came out for PlayStation, if you come in late in the market, you could buy a PlayStation down the road, plus all those games for much cheaper than you could waiting for them to be finished. Same with Xbox, right? And that's, discounting of Game Pass, just buying a system, waiting for these games to come out broke, buggy, and unfinished. Okay, 2 years later, you could save a lot of money by just not purchasing the next systems. Plenty of stuff over there. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think about why people are not moving over from the last system over to here? And do you think it's smart that Xbox is not competing, right? Maybe they do every 2 years. So now maybe Xbox comes out with a next console in 2 years, and then PlayStation 4 years from now comes out with the PlayStation 6. So they're not competing anymore one-to-one. They're counterbalancing each other throughout the years. Let me know in the comment section. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys are ecstatic about your PlayStation. And I'm not trying to be in sarcastic in any way, shape, or form. I hope your PlayStation 5s come and you guys are like, oh, this is totally worth the extra money. I hope. I hope it's not like, I can't really tell. I hope you're like, man, I can't wait to play these games. Finally, of the actual frames per second they told us it was going to play with when it first came out, originally 4 years ago. Eclipse says they've already sold 10 million copies. I think they've made their money. So you can also say that they failed, but they also got their money, so they don't. What game is that, Eclipse? I'm sorry. What game sold 10 million copies? You talking about the Star Wars Survivor? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, Diablo 4. Sure. But think about this, right? Diablo 4, wouldn't you have liked the game to be finished when it came out? I mean, come on. As much as I know you love Diablo, right? I have 120, 160 hours or some shit like that inside of Diablo, right? But the game was in disarray when it came out. And that teaches them, well, it doesn't matter if we put out a shitty product, broke product, because we're going to make all the money. We're going to make all the money. There was a brief moment, Kylo, a brief moment this weekend. I was like, I downloaded it because I have a hard drive now on the back of my Xbox. So I have a hard drive that I had room. So I downloaded Diablo 4 again. And I was like, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it. But then I was like, but why? Right? I was like, I don't know if I want to get the next expansion right now. Everything that's come out up until this point has been broke in some way, shape, or form. And they fixed it over the time. So I don't know if I want to get the expansion because... fool me once, you know what I mean? And I enjoyed it. The end game though was terrible. This new expansion looks great with the new area, the new playable character that basically all I did was take bits and pieces of all the other characters and put them into one character. Kyle says, my coworker, who's a diehard Diablo fan, says, if this is bad, he's done with the game. God, I hope it's not bad. Yeah, I put a lot of hours in. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time in the game. But again, just like most of the games that we play, there's massive issues. Massive issues. Like everybody in the Diablo player base left. They're like, oh yeah, this is bad. Then they came back and like, this is not it. Then they came back again and like, this is not it. And there's a point, though, when you play a game like a Diablo, like a Destiny, right? No matter how bad the game is, people are still going to play it, right? I hate to make a comparison, but it's like drinking's bad for you, right? Drugs are bad for you, but people keep coming back for these things because it makes them feel good. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not comparing bad games to, like, but it's addictive, right? There's something about these games that makes them super addictive, right? Super addictive. So you can put in the back of your mind going, this is a bad game, but man, it feels so good to like spin and kill somebody and get the loot drop. You're like, I'll deal with the bad because this feels so good. Roic says, already played the PTR. This is always way better now. It's way better now. There's actually end game crafting, etc. now. That's good. So Wouldn't it have been better, though, Roick? Wouldn't it have been better for all of us, for the company, for all of this, to have taken Diablo and not released it a year and a half ago and released it today for the first time where all that stuff is fixed and it's a much better game? I couldn't tell you, L. I would think it would be, because I actually said when the game came out, the game will be better in 18 to 24 months. And right now, I think we're at the 18-month mark. Right? And we can say the same thing, which we'll talk about in a bit, with Halo. Halo, people love Halo now. Right? There's a lot of people like, Halo's a really fun game. It's really good. It's never been in a better spot. But it's like 3 years later. It's like 3 years after its arc when it came out. It's like, hey, here it is. Travis says, better yes, but that's just how they will do it, because they also they claim it's a redemption arc. See, I don't look at redemption arcs like that. You know what I mean? I don't look at redemption arcs like that. This is coming from a Mets fan, okay? The Mets have sucked for so long, okay? And they always find a way to blow it. Right now, they're in the playoffs. They're doing very good. But my point is that just because you're doing good now doesn't mean I forgive you personally of all the times that you sucked and blew the games, okay? In video games, if you come out with a game and you make a game and I like your game and it works, I'll come back to your next game. I'll come back for the DLCs. I will pay for the stuff that you're asking, okay? But if you come out with a game and I'm a Halo fan, and then all of a sudden you tell me, oh, well, these features are missing. Oh, this is missing. Oh, we're fixing this. And 3 years later, they're like, hey, we fixed it. I don't go, oh, I'm gonna buy it now. No. Now I'm me, and I'm only speaking for myself. All right. Now I'm in a holding pattern going, I'm gonna wait and see what they have for next. That's the way I am with Diablo right now. That's the way I am with Battlefield now. That's the way I am with Ubisoft games now. I just wait and see. All right, is it actually gonna work? Because the last one didn't work. Is it actually gonna work now? I didn't watch the games live, but both they won the last game against you guys, and then they won the Phillies at the end. They're coming late in the game, man. They're hot. They're hot. That's all. You gotta ride the wave when it's hot. My whole thing is I never argue with people if you're having fun with a game. My argument has always been about the game being out and not complete, right? And not complete. And AAA gaming has become worse because they've done what smaller companies do in the indie market or AA, where they're smaller studios and they come out and they're like, well, we need to test out stuff like Towerborn, small studio, right? No Man's Sky, smaller studio. They come out and they test stuff and they do things. But then there's these conglomerate companies that have hundreds, if not thousands of employees, and they're making a game. And they're doing the exact same thing that those smaller companies are doing, where they can put out a game but it's broke, buggy, and unfinished, charge you full price, ask for forgiveness while they're charging you microtransactions. Billy says they've unintentionally trained us to wait for games to be finished and moan that we don't pre-order. Right. Right. I'm over the buy it and wait. I'd rather just wait. How about I just don't buy it and I just wait? Roko says, I just picked up Predator Hunting Grounds yesterday, and I've had a blast with it. What is that, 3 years old, 4 years old? I would hope it's a better shape than it is today than it was when it came out. Right? brand new for the PlayStation 5. I mean, it was on the PlayStation 5. It was on the PlayStation 5. And then now it's on Xbox. They published it. Yeah, Starship Troopers comes out this week? Or is it next week? Oh, they upgraded for the PlayStation 5. Oh, well. How else you gonna sell it again? Woo! Whatever, Akuta Papa. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. It came out in 2020. Just another game that can upgrade. Congratulations. It's supposed to come out, Starship Troopers is supposed to come out on the 10th, but I can't find anything about it. You can't find anything on it on the console? Well, on their website, it says 3 days, 9 hours, 1 minute, and 33 seconds. So, there you go. I think it's going to be... Actually, I don't know. I think we paid $30 on PC. It might be a $40 game. Probably 60. Let's see. $50. 50 on the 50 on the Xbox. I already own it on Steam, so it's not going to show me on here. Oh. Buy Starship Troopers Extermination. $30 on PC. $30 on PC. I had a blast. We have about 30 hours in it. I wanted to wait. We enjoyed it when it came out on PC, but then I wanted to wait until it came out on console because that means it would be complete. Papa says, 30, I'm wondering if they will ever get over the remasteration station or remaster station hump. I just saw an article about they're gonna get more remasters in the coming years. I would assume, like if they come out with a PlayStation 6, you know they're gonna remaster all the stuff. They're gonna do a Nintendo thing. You know they're going to be like, oh, we're going to do Last of Us again, Last of Us 2 again, God of War, God of Ragnarok, Horizon. You know that's going to happen. I had a blast, Rodriguez, on PC, and they've changed it. They've changed a lot. They've added more classes, more game modes, more stuff. I got it early. I think it was 25. I think it was 25 when I got it. 25 or 30. I want to say it's 25 because it was cheaper to get it early access because you knew you were testing it out for them and stuff. Yeah, the 16 player thing is fun. I wanted to play it this week on stream, but We have a storm coming, so I don't know. I don't know if I'll be live, if we'll have power. I won't know anything. All right, let's go to the next story. Ron Slusher says gaming is officially heading for the 80s crash. Why do you say that, Ron? All right. Bethesda's director defends Starfield, says that it's right next to Fallout and Elder Scrolls. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. I just cover news stories, give you my thoughts and opinions on the news article itself. And if you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay, so Starfield has been the topic of much contention in the recent days. Following the release of Shattered Space, the game's first major expansion, many fans were disappointed with the underwhelming piece of DLC that was also failed to warrant such a long wait and premium price point. This is also just a tip of the iceberg, though. Many of us are still ruing that Starfield rapid downfall, which is also kickstarted not only that the game was also released in September of 2023, released director of Bethesda Game Studios, Emil, defended that space-faring RPG aligning with closely to Fallout and Elder Scrolls, two of the most legendary franchises in gaming history. Well, here's the thing, right? I said this on GXG the other day, right? I try to separate, personally, it's a Bethesda game, but obviously the people that are making this Bethesda game, Starfield, is different than the people that made Skyrim, that made Morrowind, that made Oblivion, and that also made Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, okay? Like, there's some people there, but the mass amount of people making this is completely different than the people that made those games in the past, okay? Back then, when looking at Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, okay, those three games and that IP and that franchise, okay, you had no expectations when those games came out, when Oblivion and Morrowind came out. You were blown away because of the amount of stuff that they put inside those games, okay? Then when the Fallout series came out, you were blown away by that, but at the same time, not as blown away because you've already played the other games in the other IP, right? And you saw what Bethesda could do. So it gets less and less, not more and more, right? So if you're an old-timer Bethesda fan, and you started playing all the Bethesda games up to this point, you either love him because you know that what Bethesda does, or you're disappointing yourself because they're not hitting that mark what they used to hit, okay? And that goes into the conversation of make a game, sell a game, right? Skyrim came out, Oblivion came out, Morrowind came out, and those games were done. Good, bad, or indifferent, okay? Those were done, okay? So they stand like frozen in time at that point. And when you played them, you just loved them because that's what the game was. Then Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, right? Now you've been tainted through the years. One, you're disgruntled because you want a next Elder Scrolls game that's not happening, but instead they made a Fallout 4. Instead they made a Fallout 76. Instead they made a Starfield, okay? They made Elder Scrolls Online. Different company, but still underneath the same umbrella, right? So people are mad. They want the thing they like, which was Skyrim back in the day. I think you're already setting yourselves up to fail because you're going to be excited or disappointed, I should say, in Elder Scrolls 6 because you're like, well, this is what they did 15 years ago, 20 years ago, so this one's got to be the next one, right? Where there's no evidence of that, especially since it's a completely different company than it was when it made those games before. Now we're at Starfield. Starfield's its separate IP, and everyone's comparing it that it was the Skyrim in space. It was that Fallout in space. And I would say it's more Fallout in space than it is Skyrim in space. Okay? And everyone's expectations were like up here. It doesn't help that Bethesda themselves were like, yeah, it's the game of a generation. Which is just stupid. You don't say shit like that. Okay? You don't tell us there's 1,000 planets. You just make the game, make it work. Here we are. 2 years, not 1 year, 2 years, because it was supposed to come out in 11/11/22. Okay, but then they postponed it to September of 23. Then when it came out, it was still broke, buggy, unfinished. Still the best game they've created up to a point at launch, but it was already 1 year behind schedule. And now here we are with the DLC, which is year one, technically two, okay? And it's kind of lackluster, right? It's kind of lackluster. It felt, and I played through the main story. I still got side quests to do. But it just felt like they took out one of the faction missions from the launch game and made it into a DLC where they could charge $30 for it, okay? Now, if that's what they did or not, I can't tell you for fact, but it just feels along the lines of those faction missions. Now, I like those faction missions better than the main story, okay? So let's continue here and see what he says about this. He says, in a sit-down with Games Radar, Abil says, who's worked on a span of all three major franchises, said the Starfield sits right next to Fallout and Elder Scrolls as a series. He says, it exists as a unique space. It might not be as everyone's cup of tea. What is? We created a new IP from the ground up and experienced it absolutely unique on console. And now I'm not saying, he says, and I'm not saying that Starfield is better or worse than any other game, just different in what it offers. We're a weird Bethesda blend of immersion, action, and RPG, which I'll agree with, right? It is different, right? If you're a fantasy guy, if you're a post-apocalyptic guy, now if you're a sci-fi guy, okay? He uses the word unique a few times, suggesting that Starfield is a building of an entirely new fan base that might not necessarily connect easily with the Elder Scrolls or Fallout. The ones that thinks that these harmed Starfield since the moment that the game dropped a year ago, the comparisons between Starfield and decades-old series are preceded it. Okay. Emil continues by saying that Starfield is now part of the Bethesda Game Studios' big three games. Once upon a time, a developer said that probably the best game of Bethesda has ever made, but many would disagree. It also has been a year since Starfield was released, after almost a decade of hype, but the player count has already dwindled outside of Game Pass. Shattered Space pulled, but how do you know when it says the count has dwindled outside of Game Pass? But yeah, sure, it's dwindled, but you don't know how many people are playing, and that good or bad. It's like just like earlier, Travis said, "Oh, Dragon Ball's #1 in pre-orders," yeah, but how much is that? You have no idea. Right? It sounds good because it's #1, but we don't know if #2 is like 5 copies and they have 6, right? I'm not saying that's what it is, but we don't know what the player base is on Game Pass, okay? Shattered Space pulled on mediocre reviews. Games like Skyrim and Fallout 4 are also outpacing Starfield on some platform, and the content of the streaming site Starfield is withering to nothing. Bethesda's Todd Howard promised annual expansions for the title, but even with Shattered Space wasn't well anticipated in another year, Bethesda might be delivering the DLC to a zero audience. I don't think so. I think that the audience will come out and people will buy it because a lot of people are not buying it. A lot of people are just playing Starfield on Game Pass. Now, obviously, this is a different test, right? We do know that 3 million people bought Starfield early, okay? That's the people that bought Starfield early. Then we know there's a shit ton more people, okay, that didn't buy Starfield on Game Pass, but played it on Game Pass, and then they paid the $30 just to play the 5 days early access, which is just a $30, okay? We don't know the exact number, but if you could look into, we know that 3 million people bought the $100 version. We don't know after that, but we know 10 million people played it or tried it or whatever, okay? So people defending Starfield might lean into the 15 million players figure, but as of December 2023, the game also has sold 13 million copies, including Game Pass. It's though, as many people, the gamers are also still engaged today, right? How many people are still engaged today? So there you go. 5 million people, 5 million people's figure, but 13 million copies. Sold 13 million copies, right? Say what you want, okay? Say what you want. If you don't like the game or you think it's bad in any way, shape, or form, it's still sold 13 million copies, okay? So, regardless if people review bomb it, don't like it because it's not on PlayStation, don't like it because it's not Skyrim or Fallout, it's still successful, right? Just like the other games that don't need to make games over and over and over. Remember, Starfield is not a live service game. Never said it was, right? I said it should be, okay? But they never said a live service game. It's just a one-and-done game. You buy it, you play it, and you can play it indefinitely. If you want to get the DLC, you can. Most people probably don't even know the DLC exists, and they probably won't get the DLC because they're still playing the main campaign. And when I say the main campaign, the main base game, I should say, not the main campaign, right? They're probably exploring the 1,000 planets. You and I don't decide if a game is good or bad. My thoughts and your thoughts are just that. They're standalone thoughts of, I like the game, you hate the game. Cool. They sold 13 million copies. That's successful, right? They made 13 million sales off of the game itself. That's what counts for them. So they look at that and say, well, that game is successful. Just like when a game comes out broke, buggy, and unfinished, and they sell 20 million copies, it doesn't matter if it's broke, buggy, or unfinished. It sold 20 million copies. It's successful for the company, right? So where does it go from here, right? Is Starfield going to be this game? I think Starfield's going to look at it like we look at the prequels for Star Wars, okay? Everyone loved episodes 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, and 3 came out, and everyone hated those things. Hated them, okay? But years later, you look back at 1, 2, and 3 and go, hey, you know what? They're not that bad. And then when 7, 8, and 9 came out, you're like, holy shit, those are masterpieces compared to 7, 8, and 9, okay? I think Starfield is that for the Bethesda franchise of games they've made, right? Like Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, and Skyrim, and Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 are those trilogies and whatnot of Star Wars. And then Starfield comes in, and it's that bastard child that you're like, I don't know if I like this. But years from now, you're going to go back and go, you know what? Starfield is actually pretty good. But then again, it's because they keep fixing it. Because they keep making it better. Fallout 76 is a perfect example of a game that was out that was complete trash. Complete and utter trash. Okay? And here it is 5 years later. Okay? 5 years later, makes tons of cash for them because it's a live service game and people like playing it. It's a great game now. Okay? It's a fun game to play with friends. The community is awesome. Okay? Does that take away that it was a broke, buggy game in the beginning? No. No, it was a piece of shit game when it came out. Okay? So Starfield, does it get the same treatment as everything else? I think it gets more harsh treatment because people wanted that Elder Scrolls game. They wanted a better Fallout game. And they didn't get that. So it just keeps building up this pressure on Bethesda, on themselves for expectations of, is this game going to be better than the last game that they created? And I don't know if any game will ever like go past what those games were. Just a different time frame, different studio, and we know that games don't come out now finished. So where those games in the past did. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Sarge says they have too much recurring money now. There to be the same crash as the 80s, Ron. Too many microtransactions, too many mobile games. That also happen this time will be the consolidation of the industry. Roadkill says, if you stack up any of the $30 DLCs compared to Starfield, it's a joke. If you stack up any other $30 DLC compared to Starfield, it's a joke. You're saying the $30 price tag for Starfield is a joke compared to other DLCs. Are you comparing, and I'm asking, are you comparing other Bethesda DLCs to Bethesda DLCs, or are you comparing like to Witcher and to like Phantom Liberty from other studios? Kurt says, I still enjoy Starfield. It'll be around for a long time. Oh, I agree. I see its flaws, Kurt, but I also really like Starfield. I played the game. I played 200 hours of the game, from main story, side quests, doing random shit, and then I put an additional, what did we put, 12 hours in for the DLC, okay? So I had like 200 and probably like 15 hours inside the game. I know it's got flaws, but at the same time, with the mods and stuff and the support that they have with the Creation Club, it's a completely different game now. And I honestly don't care if Bethesda fixes it or the modders add something to fix something. To me, it doesn't matter. I paid my money, right? So I'm just enjoying the game. Ron says, Starfield players who actually playing Starfield seem to enjoy it. I don't get the hate. I think there's a lot of different hate, Ron, because it's not on the other system and because it's a meme to shit on Todd and Bethesda, which I get. It is what it is, right? Rodriguez says the performance is really bad on Series. I'm waiting to finish it. On Starfield, I have no issues on my... See, this is another thing. I'm not saying there is no issue. I'm just surprised when people say there's an issue. I'm like, really? And again, it might be the chipset or something that goes on, internet connection or something. I had no issues on mine. It ran super smooth for me. But then again, I played Marvel's Avengers, and I had a bug that just affected me and a very small group of people. Couldn't play the game for 14 days. Other people are like, I had no problem. Kylo says, I don't think I'll be able to cope if the fact that Elder Scrolls 6 being bad. Look, there is no way, right? There is no way that people are going to be... They're going to put so much pressure on Elder Scrolls 6 that there's no way in shape and form that it's going to come out and meet those expectations. It's impossible, Kylo. It's impossible for that to come out. Same with Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto, Rocksteady, though, is on the next level. All their games have gone above and beyond the last game that they created, right? A lot of pressures on GTA 6. A lot of pressures on, right? Complete two different engines. The creation engine in Bethesda games, I believe, needs to be there. But at the same time, you can't do on the creation engine what you can do on other platforms, other engines. It's never going to hit that mark for people. People are already disappointed in Elder Scrolls 6, and it's not even close to being released. Kyle says, I hopped into Starfield last night. I haven't started the DLC yet, but man, when you're a new Atlantis, it runs so poorly. Really? Are you playing on the S or are you playing on the X? Some news I just came across. Alien Isolation sequel has also been announced in early development. Here's another thing. Are you playing in third person or are you playing in first person? Oh, see, you're on the S. Okay. Okay. I can't talk about the S. The X, me personally, I haven't had any issues. Maybe I'll load it up on my son's S and test it out. Or I'll even play on the cloud and see how it runs. Ray says, with the logic of Space Marines 2 and Wukong are broken because they don't have content 60 frames or PlayStation 5. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. Right. With this logic, Space Marines 2 and Wukong are broken because they don't have content 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 5. On whose logic? My logic? Or are you answering someone else, Ray? Because I never brought up Space Marine 2 or Wukong because they weren't 60 frames per second. That means they're broke. My problem with Space Marines is that they're literally selling you a game and you have to wait 1 year for it. You're paying full price now and you have to wait 1 year to get that. That's my problem with Space Marines. Ray says, the more you make people wait, the bigger the expectations will be. A satisfying Half-Life 3 will be impossible because of the waited over 20 years. Right. Right. I agree with that. Oh, I see. You're talking because it's choppy, because Starfield's not where is laggy on the S. You're making comparison. If it's bad because, well, I think that's a little different. Because if the game came out and said it wasn't going to do 60 frames per second, that's fine. If it's running 30 frames per second, but it's running poorly on the S, the game is supposed to run on that console. They made it Xbox, right? They made it where it runs on the S and it runs on the X. And if it's running poor on the S, that is a broken game for them, right? Just because the game on the, for your example, Space Marines 2 or Wukong not running at 60 frames per second means it's broke. No. If it's running 30 frames and lock solid 30 frames and it's not stuttery, then that's working as intended on that system. If Starfield is janky and it's only running 30 frames per second, okay, on that system, that means it is broke. It's supposed to be made and running on that system, and it's not running on that system very well. Rodriguez says, I've been happy with the performance of Starfield on the S. I don't mind 30 frames per second, but the stuttering is another thing. Right. And that's what I'm saying, Rodriguez. If it's stuttering on that system, that is broke, right? That is a broke, buggy game for the system it was supposed to be created for, which is the S and the X. Oh, I hear you, Kylo. I hear you. I noticed every once in a while, like if I was in Aquila or if I was in Atlantis, I would just get a quick stutter, but it wouldn't happen very often. It's usually when I first come in, you can see like you land, and then when you're looking at the port, when all the people pop in and stuff like that, that's when it has a little stutter, and then it's fine. As I'm running through, I never get the stutters personally. I think in gaming nowadays, though, I think it's going to be really tough. And again, each studio is its own. It's going to be really hard because they're trying to make it so intense with the graphics. The graphics are, again, this is their choice, right? They're trying to make it look so good that they're hurting it in the performance mode, or they're hurting it just in general, the performance, just so it can look. So there's a photo mode in there. It's like, let's slow down. Can we get a solid game, regardless what it is? I don't care if it's 30. I don't care if it's 60. Just let's get a solid game going here. Like if you're locking down 30, then make it 30, right? We were playing the other day, right? The first part one of Shattered Space was in quality mode at 60 frames per second. Okay. Then the last night I did performance mode in 60 frames per second. Ray says, I never tried the Starfield on my Series S because my SSD space is way too precious for 100 gigabytes game. Yeah. But the Series X is amazing, and the performance on the PC is way better than launch. Oh, for sure. I tried to play Starfield on the cloud, and it works great. It works great. We had a buddy, Sarge has a friend, that played Starfield on the Xbox One through the cloud and said it was amazing. So, I don't know, right? Like, each their own. Like, he's literally playing Starfield on his Xbox One X through the cloud. Altern says they make the graphics so high they forget to make the gameplay, story, performance to the same level at the end. The game suffers. Yeah, because they're trying to just sell you on the graphics. They're just trying to sell you on the graphics. They're like, look how pretty it looks. Look how great it looks. Look how awesome it looks. And you're like, oh, okay. On xCloud, I believe, L. I'm not sure. Sarge would have to chime in. I believe it was just xCloud. All right, this is a person that hasn't gotten the next system yet, and yet bought Starfield on the older system and plays through the cloud. All right, we have a video. Jesse Mack says Jedi Survivor on the PlayStation 4 version is bad for exploring the open world. Is it very jaggedy, like janky? Z says 30. You're asking about why people might not be migrating to the new systems. Microsoft is testing the waters if you can get great content. When you say they're testing the waters to get great content, are you saying that the people, because of the content on Game Pass, they don't want to move? Is that why? Because they can still play the games in their old system? Dolphin says, yes, my buddy played 100 hours of Starfield the same way on the cloud from the one. Yeah, right? Like, just think about that for a second, though, right? I don't know how many of those people are out there, but the fact that somebody can play a brand new game a generation later, okay, from the cloud, and those people are okay with it. You know what I mean? Altern says, look at the graphics. They're so realistic. Yeah, I could go outside and see a tree. Show me some good gameplay or story. I don't ask much. I can see the same graphics IRL and with better performance. Yeah. Look at this tree. It's so realistic. Look at the graphic package. Chat, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, because my wife came in and we're talking about the storm real fast. Hold on 1 second. All right. Sorry, chat. Ron says, xCloud runs great for me. Just the resolution needs to be worked on something of 1080p and sometimes 720p. Ray says, graphics are important. Infinite Xbox 360 trees is a problem. As he says, yes, even Digital Foundry's video are looking derivative and talking about the minuscule technical differences. Yeah. Go on, Argus. Jesse Max says 30. The gaming industry, what we see in games nowadays, we're going to see getting worse until it's good again in the future. Yeah, I've said this in the past, Jesse. I think what's going to happen is because the industry is going to be moving, and again, this is just my speculation, right? Just based on what we've seen so far. I think what we're going to see, because they're all going to be moving to the cloud, okay? And obviously the cloud's not going to be able to take all this data. Okay. Now, obviously, with Microsoft, with Flight Sim 2024, the way they're doing it, that's one game. In the future, with all of these games coming and all these, the way the technology is and the AI and whatever else, something has to give. Like right now, if they give us 60 frames per second, cool. Let's say they give 60 frames per second. So let's say the next consoles that come out for PlayStation 6, and let's say there is an Xbox console that comes out. That might be 60 frames, okay? But now when they go to the cloud, they're going to have to diminish something. If it's the fidelity, if it's the frame rate, something has to give, right? Make a problem, solve a solution. The problem is, well, they're giving you convenience where you can play the game anywhere and anywhere. There is no more consoles. So that's the problem. They're selling you a solution. The solution is the cloud and the service that you're buying. But the problem with the cloud is that it won't be as high-end data at the start, because you don't want to give it all away at the beginning, right? You don't want to have cloud come out and be like, oh, we're doing 60 frames per second, blah, 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 because then where do you go from there? So they're going to have to like back it down and start again over there. That's the new era. See what I'm saying? So that's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to make the cloud, and sure, there'll be games that run 60 frames per second, but not all games will run 60 frames per second, right? It's gonna hinder, and they'll have to make it better. So more people that get it, this is going to be the standard, and you're not going to have a choice because there's not going to be consoles. Dolphin says, did you step away to the cows go rogue? No. My wife came in, but the storms that coming, we're just trying to figure out. She's here for lunch, and we're trying to figure out what we're doing. I got to put up wood and shit on the house today. It's like, it might hit at a 3, it might hit at a 4, it might hit at a 1. We don't know. So I'm trying to figure out. I got a lot of work to do. Kid, that's the problem, Z. It's like, do I better to be safe than sorry, you know what I mean? And the problem is it's raining nonstop up until the storm comes. So what happens is the water gets drenched in the ground, then it weakens the soil, and then the trees fall, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff. All right, we're going to move over to this video. All right. This is called The New Dawn, Halo Studio. I have not seen this, so I'm going to watch this for the very first time, and I'll pause it and give you my thoughts and opinions as we talk about it. All right? If you guys like this, I do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. We cover videos, news stories, give you my thoughts and opinions. I have a conversation with you guys in live chat. If you like that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it.
Chris Matthews, take 1. Mark. This is Casey Wu, take 1. Mark.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't want to be in front of a camera.
There's so much to do and so much fun to be had when you play Halo that I feel like I never run out of things to do.
I love intricate stories that take place across lots of different worlds, have lots of different meaningful characters.
What made Halo successful?
What made Halo successful? I know. It was fun. It was fun, and it was something that we didn't see in the industry up to that point. You know what I mean?
At the beginning, what is the legacy of Halo, and what's the soul that we want to bring forward, and what's the craft of making Halo games, and how do we set our studio at best to go deliver on that?
We knew we had to make a change in order to take us into the future.
When I first heard about Halo moving on Unreal Engine, my first thought was, this is going to be a really hard secret to keep.
I think fans are going to be excited about the future of Halo because of the possibilities that are afforded us by using Unreal.
Before, we really had to split our focus in thinking about building an engine, supporting it, being really kind of a tech company and a studio at the same time. Since we've made the change to shift to UE, we can bring
There was a story a rumor. There was a rumor last year that they were switching to UE, and we actually had a video about 10, 11 months ago. And I said in that video, I said, it'll be cool that they switch to UE, but then there'll be a whole new set of problems, right? So 343 is working with the studio, or working with what they have now with the Slipspace engine, I believe, right? And they just never, ever could do what Bungie did with Halo. None of their games that 343 made after Bungie left, after they dropped it, has never been, their best has been worse than the worst that Bungie did, right? 343 has just never, ever got it. So now they're switching to UE, right? Now the Unreal Engine, it's got its own problems. It's got its own things that they don't know. Now, obviously, I'm assuming a video like this is not really for us. This is for a advertisement to, hey, you like Halo? You want to build Halo? Are you this is a tool to bring in people, an advertisement to bring in other developers that they know now that, hey, if I work for 343, am I going to be working on Halo? They're like, you know what? We're making just a Halo studio. Halo studio is what it is. If you like Halo, this is what we're building, and this is what we're building on. So if you know the Unreal Engine and you want to work on Halo, help us make it better again. That's what this is.
bring Halo forward in ways that people have never seen before while still being true to what Halo is.
The Foundry project was an effort to show ourselves how far we can push things using Unreal 5.
New studio art director, Chris, came to me and said, hey, I have this crazy idea.
He said,
Do you know what? I guarantee you somebody, even though we've seen women talk, I guarantee you, look at this. All you see is white men in this thing. People are going to bring this up and be like, well, there it is. See, there needs to be more diversity. I swear to God. I don't care what color, purpose, and skin is. Just make a good game. Good game. Make a good game. Just make a game, sell a game.
hey, there's this thing called Project Foundry that I want to do. Let's make it happen.
Foundry specifically is based around the same concept of the Foundry in Halo lore. It's the place where Halo rings are born.
And here we are. This is porno for video game people, right? They're looking at this. Look at this water. Look at that rock. Look at this stuff. It looks so good. I'll be honest. I don't care if it looks this good if it runs like shit.
It's not a game, it's a research project for our studio so we can prepare ourselves for the next steps of making Halo games.
So this is a research project. Yeah, this is definitely a marketing tool to get people to come to the studio to make the game.
The original Halo franchise was a graphics showcase. It was best in class. That's what Halo was when it.
No, I disagree. Sure. I'm not going to disagree with it was graphic for the time, but that is not what made Halo Halo. The graphics did not make Halo what Halo was. It was the original story and how fun it was. It was something that you could play with your brother or sister or friend, co-op on the same screen. It was about the multiplayer and how we could play and customize the game for what it was, right? Like, that's what it was.
First was released, and that's what Halo needs to be again.
So once Project Foundry had been approved, we took the entire creative team and we ideated on 3 locations, something old, something new, and something really alien.
We had the Pacific Northwest, which is sort of traditional Halo biome.
We were trying to shove as much foliage in there as humanly possible to make it really
great. Put all the foliage you want. Does it tank the frames per second? Does it tank and stutter my game on the system that you made it for?
feel like you're on a hike in the, Cascades.
The Cold Lands, which was the second biome that we took on, it was more of a technical showcase where we could play with shaders, we could play with deformable landscapes and terrains. Unreal affords us more opportunity than we've ever had in the past.
On the surface, it might just look all like snow, but how many layers of things combine to really give that winter look?
And then our third biome was the Blightlands, which is any land that's been completely taken over by the flood.
I wanted to give our team the opportunity to really express an alien world, a really alien world, taking something way further than they may have actually done in previous Halo games.
What's impressed me about watching the Halo team work in Unreal is how beautiful everything looks, how incredible the environments look. I don't think we've seen anything quite like it in Unreal Engine before.
Fortunately, we have a studio that's really passionate about Halo, about the look.
Are you? Maybe now you do. Maybe now you do, right? Because now you made a studio named after the game called Halo Studios. But up until this point, when 343, I gotta say, I'm not digging on the developers that have created. Obviously, the developers make the game. You know, they did what they did. Okay. Again, the best 343 game of Halo is still worse than the worst Bungie Halo game. Okay. Like, sure, you're excited about working on Halo, but you guys understand what Halo was. Obviously, you didn't. This is why you fundamentally changed Halo Infinite and then didn't stick to the plan. And you changed it back now. You had a 10-year plan for Halo Infinite. But then it didn't work out for you. So much so that you've decided to change game engines, okay, and now are working on other things besides Halo Infinite. So you can't be that passionate about Halo, because if you were, you would still be working on Halo Infinite.
Look and the feel, and you know, I think there's a lot of hunger to really collaborate, to move forward together.
Foundry was an initiative that touched on every part of the creative process. Everything from concept art, VFX, characters, vehicles, and weapons to make the future games of Halo.
Creating an asset.
Okay, so what they're doing, as they said, they're literally making the foundation to move forward. So me and Sarge talked about this on GXG. It doesn't matter. Halo is not going to die. It's such a big franchise that they could take a decade off, and when they come back and make Halo, that it's going to be fine, because the IP itself is so rock solid, right? There's ravenous fans that love Halo. Okay, so what they're doing now is they're like, all right, well, we'll just keep Halo Infinite running, right? It's in good shape now, 3 years later. But now they're building that foundation of marketing. Is that, hey, we're building Halo. Anyone that wants to come on Halo, we have a Halo studio now. So if you get this job, you know you're working on Halo. Nothing else, nothing more, just Halo. What they're telling us is, we're building the foundation, gamers. We're building this foundation to bring Halo back to you. It sounds great with these buzzwords and whatnot.
Taking this design, now we can really dig into material foundations. What is it actually made of? How is it physically accurate to the world? Now we get to take all the wonderful legacy assets that we have, bring them to life, and bring them to today's standards.
I just want to clarify, what's today's standards? Are we talking about today's standards of unfinished, broken, buggy games? Or are we talking about the standards of complete games? Which one are we talking about? Which one's the standard? You tell me.
We are really excited to be not just working on multiple projects, but also expanding our studio.
As a lifelong Halo player, I think the game's only going to get better when we get those new, unique perspectives and people bring in their expertise and passion for the Halo franchise.
I see. He seems passionate. He seems like he's excited because they told him, yeah, we're gonna make Halo. We're gonna make Halo great again.
Looking for new talent as the projects that we're working on kind of get further and further into their development cycles.
And it is great to be part of a team that's growing, because you can kind of see that force multiplied as people come in and take on challenges, and you can do more.
Imagine a place where you have the commitment that this is what we want to do, Halo games, and create those experiences. And you can express your talent, your creativity, and your professional ambitions in that place.
We're looking for designers, we're looking for artists, we're looking for engineers.
Yeah, so there you go. This is 100% a marketing tool to get people to come to the studio.
It feels like a new beginning for the studio in a lot of ways, and I think that's pretty rare.
And I think we arrived now at a point where you see the beginnings of people to start to believe in the process.
There's so much momentum that we have right now, and focus and clarity on not just what we're building, but why we're building and kind of this next phase of Halo.
The worlds that we're building, the stories that we're going after.
The potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past. That was our recipe. And what we are doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
Let me rewind that again.
After.
The potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past.
And how we made.
That was our recipe. And what we're doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
Which is good and bad. Again, changing the recipe could turn out and it could be fantastic, right? You'd be like, man, this is a much better recipe. But at the same time, because these people are working, again, I don't know the individual like resumes of each of the people that work there, but they worked with Split. It was the Splitgate, right? That's what the software was. Split something, right? Splitgate was a game. I forget what the hell it was called. Chat, you'll help me in a second. They all worked on that originally. So everyone knew that software. Now they have to teach the new software. They have to teach all Unreal Engine. So when the stuff comes out, yes, Unreal Engine makes it easier to work with. Okay, Split Space. Thank you very much. Okay, right? So as they're working with that engine, and it had its issues, now it has brand new issues because all the people that are working on this new game engine maybe have never worked with it before, which for me as a professional in the film industry, if I got to work with a new camera or new something, right? Obviously, you don't know all the cameras. But when I got to work with a new camera or new equipment in any way, shape, or form, I loved it because it made me get better at what I was doing overall. But there were still issues while I was using it, right? Like if something happened, I wouldn't know how to fix it right away. And I would have to learn on-hand job, like to learn, how to do the stuff on the fly. That's what they're doing with this, right? So hopefully, I hope the Unreal Engine works out better for them. I hope it doesn't have the same issues as they had now, okay, with the engine that they were using. I hope now they can get to, because the engine makes it so easier to use and make the game, that they can actually focus on making the game better and not just this, it's Halo, it'll sell. You know what I mean? Like, Halo sells, but are they actually going to put Halo back into Halo? Not lose the identity of what Halo was. I mean, a pig's a pig. If you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. So changing 343 Studio to Halo Studio, it's still 343 Studio. Unless they completely got rid of everybody at 343, brought in new people to make the Halo Studio under the 343. They just changed 343 to Halo and brought in brand new people. That's what this looks like. It looks like maybe they cleaned house and only kept the best people, and now this is a commercial, basically, on trying to get people to come that are passionate about Halo, right? If any of you guys were developers, and you loved Halo, and now this is out there, and you're like, yeah, let us know if you want. Like, this is your calling card right here. This is your calling card. Maybe grab some ex-Bungie developers? Yeah, but even if they bring in the Bungie developers, do they know the Unreal Engine, right? There's also rumors that Destiny is going to the Unreal Engine down the road. Ray says they already fired all the Split Space employees. So there you go. Is that fact, Ray? Also, most of the Halo employees or contracts who had to relearn a new engine because of 343's engine. It's a little different in spirit. A lot of different people. Right. It looks like the people that they brought in to make this video, right? They've been working on it for months and months and months because we knew about them switching over. It was rumored last year, like 10, 11 months ago. Literally, I did a video on it. Okay. So it's been almost a year since they've been working on this project or whatnot. Because if there's smoke, there's fire. Okay, so we'll give them 12 months that they've been working on it. Okay, so now the people that are in this, they brought them in. They're like, all right, we're starting something small here. Let's put it together. They even said it was a test. So all the people they brought in to work on the Unreal Engine, to work on Halo, fresh blood. We talked about this months and months and months ago, right? Phil even said, we say an IP or a name, and we say, who wants to work on this? And then people go, hey, I do. Instead of going, hey, you're working on this, right? So that's what they did here, right? They said, you know what? Let's make Halo Studio. Anyone that wants to work on Halo, anybody that wants to work on Halo, let us know, right? So maybe because the umbrella, and again, I'm speculating here, but maybe because the umbrella of Microsoft is so large, so people that were maybe working on Redfall or working on ESO or working on, Activision or whatever, they said, hey, who wants to work on Halo? Someone's dream job could be, I would love to work on Halo, right? And they go, great. Let's make the team. Let's make the base. Let's make the all-star team here. Okay, let's make a studio of people that just want to make Halo games. That's pretty smart, right? That's pretty smart. The Xbox is in trouble with not having any exclusives. What do you mean? What do you mean they don't have exclusives? You know what their exclusive is? Mandalorian? Game Pass. That's their exclusive. Twisted Logic says, I would be shocked if Destiny moves over to Unreal Engine, especially now after all these years. I thought they were also winding that game down. Well, there was rumors before they even got bought up by Sony that Bungie was moving over, and they basically, same rumor that was with Halo. Like a small team took a chunk and worked on a Destiny-esque in that Unreal Engine software. What happened with the Infinite was it that they couldn't keep up with the old shitty engine. Well, you don't think they could have thought about that, Magic, before they decided to come out and say it out loud that they were going to work on Infinite for 10 years? Yeah. That didn't cross their mind before they decided to make Halo Infinite and say, yeah, we're gonna support it for 10 years? Prada, you had a question up above. Where was it? You had a question. Mike, I have a question. Have you... you may be able to answer. When I see a label on eggs, beef, chicken, and supermarket that says organic, what does it mean exactly? Well, it varies. It varies. But basically what it is it's avoid practices, okay, of like synthesizing stuff or chemically altered food, genetically modified stuff or components, right? So it can happen in lots of different ways, right? It could be that they feed their animals certain processed type of food that's got chemical reactions to it. So when you see organic, for instance, our cows just eat grass. That's it. They eat grass. There's nothing altered. They're grass-fed, grass-finished, right? Stuff like that. Same with the chickens and stuff like that. So when you see organic it all depends on where it comes from. It's not just a lot of people like to put organic on there just so they get more money. Honestly, right? So you gotta do your research. So for any kind of product, if you're buying certain chickens or stuff, find out where that company, what they do. You can look it up, what they do to their chickens, right? Or meats, right? Just don't go to something and go, oh, look, right? Like organic fruit, they don't spray it, right? They don't spray the fruit with poisons and whatnot. Right? There's no poison to keep the to keep the stuff. There's no any type of organic stuff. A lot of the stuff that they spray and put into supermarkets is so it lasts longer, so the shelf life is longer. I hope that answers your question. Mandalorian says 30. I think why a lot of devs are skipping Xbox is because the Series S, when PlayStation only does one console. Sure. I mean, we've talked about why the S is holding it back. They don't want to admit the S is holding it back, but we can put 2 and 2 together and why certain things are happening. Right? But they're still having exclusives. They have 38 studios. And obviously, none of them are exclusive because they're going to be on PC and Xbox at the exact same time, but they still have exclusives. Elle says we have to wait and see, seeing what the indie studios are able to do with the Unreal Engine 5. I imagine it would also be hard for Halo studios to screw it up. Never say never. Never say never. Twisted says, I would love to know what the original plan was for Infinite before it was rebooted. I think 100% they want it. I said it before the game came out. And then there was proof of it that was happening where they basically were going to make it a live service game. They were going to make it a live service game. They were going to constantly add content to it, but they scrapped it for whatever reason. Altern says, so they're moving to Unreal Engine 5. Will that make the story of the game good? I know split screen will not be coming at all if they're using Unreal Engine 5. And they might be able to make the story co-op. I don't think the engine has anything to do with the story. Story is story. Get writers in here to make a good story. But if the Unreal Engine can make it easier for them to do things. Now, obviously, I would assume that they're doing third-person Halo because they're going to sell cosmetics and stuff, right? I would assume. Right? First person, third person, see your armor and whatnot. I wouldn't be surprised if the next Unreal Engine, has like a game mode in there, like Helldivers, has a game mode like, Battle Royale. Right? If they can make the game feel like Halo again, I don't care what engine you use, as long as it's fun. The average person that plays video games won't know what engine it's made in. They won't. They'll be like, wow, this looks great. Halo will basically become Hellblade 2, a cinematic puzzle-solving walking adventure. That'll be spot on, wouldn't it, Ron? You're like, that's why I play Halo. I hear they finally officially canceled the Halo BR. Yeah, for now, for this, right? Who knows when the next Halo comes out, where the landscape will be, right? I mean, obviously, we're seeing this now, right? They're marketing for people to come in the studio now, so we're probably another 3 to 4 years off, I would assume. Hopefully. Like, don't show us anything until your game is done. Yeah, IGN has an article about this. Future Halo games moving Unreal Engine 5 before the industry rebrands multiple projects in development. Let's read this. I agree with that, Dolphin. You said Paris Lily thinks that they'll still do a BR. I think so as well. They'll just do it in the new engine. Why wouldn't they? Let's see. PUBG made a Battle Royale. Fortnite made a Battle Royale. Oh, look. They both use the Unreal Engine. All right. We're going to read this article. It might have the same stuff in it. I don't know. I don't read these articles beforehand. I read them on stream with you guys for the first time. If you like what I do here, we just read an article, watch a video, give you my thoughts and opinions on this. If you like it, we have a conversation in chat. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right. So future Halo games moving into Unreal Engine 5 as 343 Industries rebrands multiple projects in development. So the future of Halo is starting to come into focus. During Sunday Halo World Championships, 343 Industries made a number of announcements, including that they'll officially be changing the name to Halo Studios. That's working on multiple new games. In addition to newly rebranded studio, says all the future projects will be developed on Unreal Engine, leaving behind the Slipspace engine utilized by the Halo Infinite. Okay, the announcement were unveiled in a 7-minute video shown ahead of the Halo World Championships grand finales, which showcased the results of the Project Foundry, an experimental project designed to show Halo game building using the Unreal Engine. While it's not as much more than the tech demo, it offers a glimpse of the fresh beginnings of the Xbox flagship franchise in the wake of 2021's Halo Infinite. Okay, it's a huge shift for Halo series, not the least because of the resources poured into the Slipspace engine over the course of the development, but the studio formerly known as 343 Industries notoriously struggled with the Slipspace engine during the Halo Infinite's development, in part because it used tools dating back to the early 2000s. Still, it was expected to serve as a foundation for the series after Halo Infinite. It said, quote, respectively, some of the components of Slipspace are almost 25 years old. Art director Chris Matthews said in the interview with Xbox Wire, although 343 were developing it continuously, where also the aspect of Unreal and the Epic has been developing for some time, which is unavailable to us at Slipspace, and they also would have taken huge amounts of time and resources to try to replicate. Okay? So at this point, they were like, well, what do? Do we put more time into it? It would take a huge amount of time, or do we take the same time, instead of learning and trying to make this old engine work, why don't we take the new engine, take the time to learn this new engine, and instead of fixing it like a Band-Aid, we can now start with a brand new engine, right? So in early 2023, reports suggest that Halo developers were ready to hit the reset button on the series. After a heavy shakeup within the studio, including transitioning to Unreal Engine, the report also said that Halo developers were also focusing on pitching a new Halo game while prototyping ideas. Project Foundry appears to culminate this effort. Okay, so the newly rebranded Halo Studio is part of the Seeking Forge ahead of under the leadership. Okay, and with the studio now working on multiple new games, and the 3 step into the top roles at the studio is also wake of the studio GM Bonnie Ross' departure in 2022, with the series veteran Joseph Staten leaving in 2023, and the new name of the engine follows up Xbox saying earlier this year that it's also full speed ahead on the next generation successor of the Xbox Series X and S. It says we had a focus on trying to create a condition to be successful in serving a Halo Infinite, but which switching to Unreal allows us to put all the focus, making multiple new experiences at the highest quality possible. The projects will be ready when they're ready. Love to hear it. Just don't say anything more. Halo Studios says, for now, stay tuned for lots more analyzing on IGN. So there you go. So, look, I think this is a good move. I do. I just think that there'll be growing pains with the new engine. And hopefully the growing pains of the new engine are less than the engine that they couldn't do anything with. Multiple projects, fancy way of calling remasters. Now we aren't. Well, that's another thing I was just going to bring up, Altern. Do you think that they're just rebooting the whole franchise, but in the Unreal Engine, right? Like Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them, but now in the Unreal Engine, just redo them again. Does that give them more extra time? You know what I mean? Would we be okay with that? Or do we want the continuation? Or do they tell a different story, not following Master Chief anymore, but following something else? I would prefer continue the story, but not with Master Chief, right? Tell a different story. Bracken says, rebrand. Same management and team. If so, I have zero faith. No, it's not the same team. It's not the same team. It's not the same management. 4 chances to make a good Halo game and failed every single time. Give a different team and leave it alone. They did. They literally gave it to a brand new team. The entire team is new. Ray says remastered. When you change the engine, it's a real full remake. Sure, but what I'm saying is you're still... If they take the first game, it's still a remaster. It doesn't matter if you do it in the same engine or not, Ray. If you take Halo 1 exactly as is, and you redo it, tell the same story, tell the same stuff, but now in a new engine, that is a remake. It's a remake / remaster. If it's something brand new and officially new that has nothing attached or anything, then it's brand new. Altered says Halo Kart, Halo ARPG, Super Halo Brothers, Halo Turn-Based, and Halo Looter Shooter. Twisted said, "Isn't the voice actor for Master Chief retired now?" That doesn't mean anything. They have ways of just taking someone else's voice and making it sound like somebody. I mean, they did a bad job with the last Star Wars Outlaws for Darth Vader, but which is weird because the guy in Darth Vader that did the voice in Outlaws is the same one that did in Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order. But apparently someone fucked up in the recording studio because his voice sounds terrible in Outlaws. Kraken says, hot take, reboot Halos 4 through 6 with the actual good story, leave the original trilogy alone. Rodriguez says, I'm part of the problem because I would get excited for another Halo. But look, at least you can admit it, right? At least you know that you're the problem. But at the same time, I mean, you're like, I like my Halo games. I like my Halo games. Sounds more like Dark Helmet. Yeah, he didn't sound very good. El Dente says, no, I'm the real problem. I'm going to pre-order it. Like, all I want is a complete game. You guys can pre-order and do all the stuff you want. Just know if that game comes out broke, buggy, unfinished, and you pre-ordered it and bought it day one and eat it up and go, oh man, I'm having so much fun, but knowing that the game is broke, that is the problem. That is the problem. I will wait. Even more so, Microsoft, it's a first-party title. You don't ever have to buy or pre-order one of their games ever again. They have to prove that their game is good. Altered says, the Halo movie where Master Chief is played by Jack Black. Who are you? I am Master Chief. It'd be like, wait a minute. Didn't he do that in Minecraft movie? Carmelo says, I don't pre-order anymore, but I still end up getting it. That's fine. Look, the difference between someone pre-ordering a game and buying it a week later is huge, right? Look at what's happening right now with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Pre-orders were low. That's why they postponed it. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? If you think they're going to change this dramatic thing about, right, bugs and glitches, 3 months is not enough time. Right? They were going to sell you that game full price 30 or 40 days from now. Okay? Or like 30 days from now. They were going to sell you that game at full price, more than full price, okay? And it was still broke, buggy, and unfinished. But pre-orders were low, so they went, maybe we should put it back 3 months. Because the survey says that within 4 months, most people forget about things 3 months ago. El Dente says, if it's Star Wars with lightsabers, pre-order. If it's Cyberpunk, pre-order. If it's Halo, pre-order. If it's a hug from Sarge, your guess is a pre-order. Yeah, that's exactly right, Jones. I'm not saying that don't buy the game. All I'm saying is just hold off, right? Look, if it comes with a some pins, don't buy it. If it comes with a statue and you want the statue and the only way to get it is to pre-order the to pre-order, cool. Okay? But if millions and millions of people buy the game early and it's broke, buggy, and unfinished, that sends the signal to them going, look, we just made 8 million copies sold and the game is broke. All right, well, we've already moved half the studio over to the next project. So let's take 10 guys over here and we'll fix it over time. And then let's put a statement out there. We're listening. We know there's problems with our game and we'll fix it. And then it takes 18 months to fix it, right? But if you don't pre-order the game, right, and you don't buy the game early, okay, that game will either be delayed or they'll fix it real fucking fast because they know they need to make the sales. Well, I don't know how much he would charge for a hug and or a pre-order for a hug. Kuda Papa says, 30, at least we're getting new games instead of remasters. That's true. Unless it's a remaster of a new game, which is a remaster of a 25-year-old game. Who knows? All right, what comes out this week? What comes out this week? We got Diablo comes out tomorrow. The DLC comes out tomorrow. I'm on the fence about that. I don't know if I want it. It's full price, isn't it? It's a $60 DLC. I get it. I'm not getting it day one. Not that it matters. They already made $1 billion. They're good. We got Diablo coming out the 8th. We got Dragon Ball Z coming out the 11th. When does New World come out? Doesn't New World come out this week as well? It's $40 with Game Pass. Okay. Ray says, I have a small cleaning business, and I had a partner who said, don't clean too well, or they'll expect the same quality always. I didn't do business with him again. I'm really glad you put that there, Ray. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You want to keep expectations low, right? Because then you have nowhere else to grow, right? If you dish out that all the time, then they expect that, and if they go anything under, then it's a problem, right? So if they keep it low, this goes back to what I said earlier about games on the cloud, that they probably won't be 60 frames, right? Because if they make it 60 frames on cloud right away, then there'll be nothing to grow past, okay? So they'll reset it and go back to. That's exactly right. At least Halo 1 Remaster makes sense, though. Cough, cough. Horizon 0 cents. The new content update comes out the 10th for the First Descendant. Oh, there's a lot of stuff coming out, huh? This is a big week for a lot of stuff. A lot of DLCs this week. You get the New World DLC. You get the Diablo DLC. You get the First Descendant DLC. Eclipse says, I might not play it now that Throne and Liberty is taken to my addiction. So, should I try that instead of... Should I play that tonight? Should I try that tonight? Kraken says, sounds like Bungie's business model, never over-deliver. That's everyone's. A lot of, no, I shouldn't say everyone's, because Baldur's Gate, Larian Studios did exactly what they wanted to do, right? They made a game and sold a game. El Dente says, I'm playing Space Marines 2, no other game having my attention. Right. Under promise, over deliver. I don't really think it's over deliver, right? It's under promise and barely deliver. That's what it should be. It should be under promise and barely deliver. Because if they over deliver, then that means they still can't grow. They got to under promise and then barely deliver. That way they have another 2 years so they can keep delivering. Maybe I'll do that tonight. I was gonna play one of the stupid games. I have to do it sometime. I think within the next 2 weeks. I think. I got Garage Flipper. I'm looking to get the shipping container wars. I want to play that one night. But maybe we'll do Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty tonight. Maybe that's what we'll do. That's right. Under promise and baseline deliver. Right. Eclipse says, good game. I'll warn you, it does have pay to win in it, but you can also still get good gear without paying. It's also cool but you have to pay to get it quicker. Well, I'll never do that. You have to. Is it pay to win by end game? And can I play this through the story, Eclipse? That's basically all I need to know. Oh, I forgot to bring that up, Crowded. Yeah. They've been working on a Black Flag remake for a bit. It was rumored last year, and now it's out that they're actually doing it, which makes sense because they might drop that next year in the second half, because now that Assassin's Creed is delayed, they might need something to fill in that gap, because now they're moving Shadows to beginning of next year, and then maybe Black Flag probably remake at the end of next year. Is Astroneer recommended or not? Astroneer is a good game. My son used to play it. I can't answer that question, Jones, because I never played it. The Master Chief Collection? I never played it. I mean, I don't really need to buy a new game. I'm still playing games that I have. I'll go back to Fallout 76. There's plenty for me to play and do. The only reason I would try Throne and Liberty is because it's free to play. Let me see what other news we got, if anything, on here. Oh, Terminator comes out. Terminator Survivor comes out this month. Terminator Survivor comes out. Oh, it says release 2025. So why does it say October? I'm confused. Planned release 2025, but then why does it say... Unless it got delayed and they never changed it. Okay. I want to show you. I want to show you this. This is this is Starship Troopers, right? Look, the bodies all stay there now. I haven't played it since it's done this. How's that gonna work? Is my computer gonna crash because of it? Does that just bog down my whole computer and I won't be able to stream it? Another reason to maybe get it on console. Right, Hilly. Right? Computer just catches fire. Be like, I had fun, though. I had fun. Throne and Liberty is the one where you shapeshift, right? I think Dustin said it earlier. You shapeshift in that one, right? That's that trailer where the guy jumps off the cliff and then he falls and then morphs into like a bird. All right, maybe we'll I'll download it and play it tonight. We'll do Throne and Liberty tonight. Oh, so you're the mount. I got you. Alien Isolation sequel just got announced. Does that come out this year? It's an early development. Early development. Got it. 2026. See you then. Our server is at Castleton. Are you guys all already in that server there? There's multiple of you? Castleton. All right. I think that's going to do it for me today. I do appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us. I got to get ready for the storm. I got to put some wood up and do some things around the farm. So, appreciate it very much. I appreciate you guys coming out and hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back tonight for some Thrones and Liberty. We'll play that tonight. Other than that, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning for 10 a.m. as of right now, because the storm, I think, is moving on over to Wednesday now instead. So, you guys have a great rest of your day, afternoon, or evening, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.